Hi, everybody. I am so excited for this night. We've got Jason McLeod here tonight. Hi, Jason.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm awesome. I'm so excited to have you on. We chat a lot, during the week, but we don't, you don't really take the time to talk like this
Right.
or on the phone. So it's great. It's great to have you. And before we start going in, I just want to say that Jason McLeod here is amazing. Everyone, I mean, I think a lot of people know who he is already. Um, he's been on Coast to Coast. So to me, I love that show. I think that's
Mm.
like a big show. It's a big deal. He is a world famous author. He is like a paranormal extraordinary investigator, writer. He is the man behind defending. I don't was obviously defeating the demonic, which is an incredible event that's going to be this October 20th in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And so I want to just say a little bit about that. And we are just so happy to have you on with me tonight. I'm so happy to have you, Jason.
Well, it's great to be here, as always. It's nice to talk with you. We do talk daily because you're a guest speaker for the Defeating the Demonic this year, and you're really helping out spread the word, which is really nice. So, that's the main buzz right now is I put on this amazing event. I'm hosting and organizing an amazing event with incredible guest speakers. And the thing wouldn't, be anything without these amazing speakers. But I came up with this idea last year, and I actually began it last year in July. Ended up being a 4 hour and 45 minute. I call it an extreme immersion event, which features Archbishop Ronald File Enright, Reverend Bill Bean, who I've worked with on a case in upstate New York, Bishop James Long, who's a huge supporter of mine, and Archbishop James Cloud, and myself as a demonologist. I've been trained under Ed and Lorraine Warren starting in 1990. That's my history. And bringing the reality behind the massive increase in cases of demonic infestation, oppression, possession, and then how they handle everything through deliverance and exorcism. And, it's happening by and large through invocation and evocation, as Bill Bean would so eloquently says. Uh, I believe it's always related to the use of Ouija boards, which is using your free will to try to initiate contact with spirits. And the types of spirits that come through those boards may pose as friendly spirits or benevolent spirits, but they're nothing of the kind. And only harm comes from them, according to my mentor, Ed Warren, and from all of these amazing people, many of them clergy, who have to deal with the ramifications of people opening doorways that they shouldn't open. And then actually people are actually trying intentionally to summon demons into their lives using, as Bishop Long said last year, the lesser keys of Solomon. Solomon was reported to have been able to summon demons and bind them to do his will, to build temples for his concubines and control them and gain power from them. And using these magical sigils and so forth, these keys that would bind their chains, for instance, to servitude. But the average, 15-year-old girl in her basement, playing with tarot cards and Ouija boards and looking through a book, you're not going to have a prayer of accomplishing such a feat, and you're only going to invite ruin into your life. And the goal in this event is called Defeating the Demonic, because the goal is to defeat these beings and to stop their attacks. They infest the places that they're invited into through invocation and evocation or summons, magical rites and rituals and so forth. And then they actually start to go and oppress or attack, divide and conquer, if you will, attack the people that are in the house and the person that was foolish enough to summon them. These beings hate us with every fiber of their being. Hate us. Like Archbishop Cloud said last year, they look at us like they're the lioness and the Serengeti, and we're the wildebeests running around, and they're just looking and deciding who they're going to pounce upon next. And the thing is these beings exist outside of time and space, right? So they don't have to come that day that you use the board or that year or 15 years down the line. They're eternal, right? They'll wait until you're sick in bed, or you lost your loved ones, your spouse, your parents, you lost your financial uh,
Yeah.
wherewithal,
Yeah.
where you're struggling and when you're depressed and
Yeah.
full of anxiety. Yeah. So I put this thing together saying, let's show the people through these learned men's experience how these forces weave their way into our lives. They're very subtle, they're very sneaky, they're very slick, as Archbishop McLeod said, and how their attacks take place, how to identify what's going on, um, and how these people put a stop to it and,
Yeah.
and deliver these people from darkness. So that could be a great term too. That'd be a great segment or a title for an event too. Delivering people from darkness. But we're defeating the demonic. We're defeating these beings and saving people from ruin. And you know
Well,
that's
that's the goal.
that's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. And well, I have to, applaud you for this because I wanted to go so badly last year when I first heard about it. I just feel like I always say this on Facebook, like it is an honor to be part of this. I mean, I
Mhm.
really, God is just like, I don't know. I was telling somebody today, I think I was telling Bishop Joshua, like when I feel like God is talking to me and gives me a mission, I do not give up. And and I just feel like when this happened to me, to be a part of this, and with Archbishop Ronald Enright, when that happened with Bill Bean, all of these things. So people wonder why I am having all of these type of shows, and this is why, because I feel like I'm on this mission, you're on this mission. There's a lot of people out there that can benefit from this incredible immersion experience, as
Mhm.
you call it. I know there's a lot of people going, and I just really feel in my heart that each year it will continue to go, because I don't see things really ending, but I do see lights coming out. I see people that are wanting to know, and I literally do see it on the email list on the order of exorcists, because with me being a part of the show, I see who is reaching out, Jason. And there are so many people reaching out. And so, what I would like for you to talk about is your own personal experience, like the books that you have written. These books
Mhm.
are, and you're a fantastic, fabulous writer, but
Thank you.
you are dealing with real things. Could you share with people the real truth of what is happening out there? Why we need a defeating the demonic event?
Well, like I said, people are inviting these beings into their lives, either unintentionally because they think that the Ouija board is a game. It's sold as a game. You could buy it at a toy store,
I
you know.
just saw one at the like Barnes and Noble for
Yeah.
their Halloween. I'm just like looking at it like, really? You have this right out here on display for these children?
Oh, sure, because it's Halloween time. But I
Yeah.
mean, they have multiple versions. I mean, people make them themselves, right, with the intention of selling them to people. And I don't know if they're aware of the ramifications of their use. Many people think they're just a game. It's just a toy. Depends on how you use it. Oh, they don't close the doorway properly. Well, who taught you how to close a doorway properly? Can you see the doorway? No, right? You can't see what's coming through unless you're truly a genuine psychic. And I know many who do see, but I can't see, right? I'm an empath. I pick up emotion, but I can't see a shimmering doorway that opens up through the use of a Ouija board. And how can that possibly be? It's because people just don't understand that we can only see visible light, right? And that's why it's called visible, which is a tiny band of frequencies that's less than 1% of everything we see around us. And if we're playing with a Ouija board, we're not going to see, you know, any kind of gateway or doorway or window or vortex or any kind of spiraling energetic structure or things like that, or something coming through it. It's real. I know it's real. I've seen it, the ramifications of opening doorways, and I've seen the instant uh, resolution of this open doorway by amazing psychics who actually handle it and close it, and the relief that instantly takes place from
Right.
people. For instance, I'll give you an example, right? There's a musician in Austin, Texas, where I used to sing lead vocals in a band in Austin. And he called me and he said his dogs are freaking out. The floor in his bedroom is ice cold. There's like a wind coming through, and his dogs are leaping onto the bed. And they're whimpering. They won't go on the floor. And I contacted my friend and I said, "Can you take a look and see what's going on? My friend's having issues in his bedroom." And she says, "Looking," right? And she describes this shimmering oval portal or a gateway or doorway right in the corner of the bedroom, and through that oval is this black, murky, mucky, oil-like, tar-like fluid, right? Like oil all over the floor. And so she got rid of that, however she did it, and she closed the doorway. And I contacted my friend, and he said that everything's cool. The temperature's changed. The dogs are now completely changed. Like everything is normal. And I don't know how they do it, but it's real, right? I'll give you another example. Also in Austin, I was sitting with a friend. He's a former Marine Corps officer, and he said there's something going on, right? There's something evil in my daughter's bedroom, right? The cat will avoid this space in front of the bed like it's something, dangerous. The daughter hasn't been right for years, and he confided in me because he learned that what I was doing, right? And I did the same thing. I contacted my friend. "Can you take a look?" Looking, right? And she went into the room and she said, "There's this," and I didn't tell her anything, right? "There's a hole in the floor." She described it right in front of the bed. It's like a pit. And
Right.
there's things like undulating, like cilia and things like cilia, like tentacles and cilia. And behind this person's daughter was the equivalent of Smeagol from Lord of the Rings, right? When she spotted him, it was right, like freaking out, like overlaying her, right? And she said, "You can either go down that pit in peace or you can go down in pieces," right? And it protested, it went down, and that was it. She closed it, and all of a sudden he goes home because we were sitting at the restaurant table. Within 45 minutes, "I have my daughter back. She's washing her car and she's cleaning her room and she's the way that she used to be. You know, I can't thank you enough," and all this stuff. And it's just a service that this
Yeah.
amazing woman is able to provide. I mean, can you imagine? This could be months and months of research from teams going in and setting up equipment and doing their thing and blah, blah, blah. And she'll just resolve it instantly. I don't have to go anywhere. And I met her on a case prior to I became involved in a case years ago, been contacted by a case by somebody who read my book, Dark Siege, A Connecticut Family's Nightmare. We're having a horrible situation upstate New York, right? And I asked, "Well, who the heck can I bring?" Because I was living in Austin at the time. I still had my band. So I was going back and forth from Connecticut to Austin quite often. And I hadn't been on cases in a while. And I said, "Who can I call in Connecticut?" And I reached out to Bill Bean, right? And he'll answer a summons, And I also put a call out on Facebook at the same time. I'm looking for a real, genuine psychic that can tell me what the heck's going on. And this woman contacted me, and looking, right, describes everything that's going on the property, who's there spirit wise, who they're attacking, where these doorways are. And interestingly enough, Mercedes, it's not just demonic stuff. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's either spirits or it's demonic or it's elementals or it's this or that." There's an entire different category of beings called interdimensional. She calls them, IBs, interdimensional beings, or IEs, that are far more numerous, that exist in multiple in dimensions that are close to ours, in different reality streams and so forth, that break through into our reality and come through these doorways. And on that very same property, I'm in upstate New York, after Bill and I had cleared it, right, successfully, we went up there in the winter, casting holy salt and holy water all over the property lines and inside and outside, and Bill doing his blessings of the inside and praying over the family and, clearing things out. She described this because I was contacted again saying we're experiencing things again. And my friend would look, and she said, "There's like this tear in the fabric of space, like just hovering in the air above the ground, and through it, millions of these spider-like creatures coming through." millions of them. And she said, I said, well, how can we deal with that? She said, oh, I'll go torch them. I don't know how she does it, but it works. Whatever she's saying she does works, because all of a sudden the issue is resolved instantly, right? So what she's described on numerous occasions are these insectoids. Like visualize a person standing sideways, and behind them is this gigantic centipede, right? Clutched into their head, wrapped around their back, around the back of their neck, all the way down the back of their back to the pelvis, with their legs like clomped onto you. And that is such a common thing. Just like this Smeagol looking thing was over this woman, this young lady, these interdimensionals can hook onto you and glom on and rob you of your energy and cause you all kinds of problems. And no amount of religious intervention is going to stop those, as far as I believe, as far as I know. They'll handle the demonic stuff, but it's not going to handle an earthbound human spirit. It's not going to handle an interdimensional spirit that is not affected by any of that. I just have never seen it that way, happen that way, from my experience, right? So they're able to handle these things on that level, which boggles the mind. But we are surrounded, right? We can see 1%. We're surrounded by earthbound human spirits that are also called discarnate human spirits. We're surrounded by doorways and portals that all these people open intentionally through necromancy and black magic and sorcery and sigil magic and rune magic and all the other ways that they open them, right? They stay open and these beings come through. We can't see them, we can't perceive them, right? But they're all around us. Now, if we are protected, right, because we know and believe and we have the faith that we are one with the creator of all that is, and we have that light and power in our hearts that radiates outward, it protects this shield of protection around us, and we pray to the creator of all that is, and we pray that, and know and believe we're protected. Lorraine Warren asked me, the first question she asked me when I walked into their house for their class on Monday night in 1990 was, how strong is your faith, honey? Right? That's the first most important question of all for any paranormal investigator. How strong is your spiritual defense, right? And I said, I have immense faith. I believe that I and the Father are one, right? Not that I'm Christ, right? But I am connected to the Creator. I'm protected by his forces, his angels. I know that I can call upon the protection of Archangel Michael, and it's instant, right? And that's so critical to have. And even then, you can end up in trouble or in hot water. You need the help of somebody else to come and rescue you, especially from interdimensional type of stuff. So you have all these paranormal
trouble then at the beginning. Did that ever?
No, I never had an issue because I've always felt protected, and I was always white lighting myself. You visualize the Christ light from within, right? And it protects you. It's all frequency and vibration. And Bill and I are two peas in a pod when we talk about that. Bill being, we should just go on the road and do shows together, but he's so busy he can't organize them, and I'm so busy. Anyway, I do all my conventions. I've done 30 shows this year, meaning full weekend shows, traveling all across the country, setting up my table, selling my books. And I'm trying to write 2 new books and at the same time do all this other stuff. So, and do the Defeating the Demonic event. I hope and pray that everybody that needs to hear this information will come and buy a ticket and be there, be part of this magical experience. I don't say magical, mystic, not even say mystical, magic, mystery. Be part of this amazing spiritual event, right? That would really empower you. But anyway, I'm going off on tangents as I tend to do.
But you literally just came off of a big show just this weekend. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. It's I've worked with the Warrens since I was 20 years old in 1990. I was a student of the Warrens. I was a protege of the Warrens, and this is the 4th consecutive year that I attended the Warrens Seekers of the Supernatural Paracon. Now, of course, Ed and Lorraine are both deceased now. God rest their souls. Even though I know they're not resting, they're hard at work doing whatever they're doing. But Tony Sparrow is their son-in-law, and Judy is their daughter, and they continue on with the current members of the New England Society for Psychic Research. Dan and Chris and Wade are the 3 top people. They're in charge of the thing now, and they are doing their best to bring awareness about the Warrens' lives and careers, just like I've been doing since I first came on the scene, back on the scene in 2012, when I first said, I'm going to publish my most terrifying case, and at the same time tell people how I began my journey.
Right.
So this is the first year I got to actually share the stage, and with other people, Ryan Buell, Dave Giuliano, Keith Johnson, who've worked with the Warrens, or at least have interacted with them.
I love
Well,
Ryan.
Ryan didn't work with Ed and Lorraine. He just was working with Lorraine. But I think, anyway, what?
On Paranormal State. I just love Ryan Buell.
Okay.
I thought he was awesome.
Yeah, he's a wonderful person to interact with this time. This is the first time I really met him. But you know what? We all have a piece to the puzzle, and nobody's any more special than anybody else just because I worked with Ed and Lorraine. All it means is that I have information to convey. That's all. And there's no ego involved in that whatsoever. I've been blessed and privileged, and I'm always thanking, God and for this synchronicity that allowed us to come together. But this time I got to share some of my stories on stage, and it went really great. And I had T-shirts made called "The Legends," right? Because so many young people only know the Warrens by the actors that are portraying them in the movies. They don't really know what they really look like. So I had a shirt made with their graphic on there about what they really looked like when I was working with them, in the trenches.
I want one of those shirts.
Yeah, it's I'll have them with me. But I had those. I debuted them, and they were a nice hit. And what was fun is that people are actually buying them and wearing them, and then going around. And I saw them walking around, and I saw signatures on the shirts. I said, "Oh, the current, the people that Ed, not Ed, Dan and Tony and Chris and stuff who were signing the shirts." And I was like, "How cool is that?" And that was the purpose. And then I signed them too. I said, just bring everybody together. And everybody, ditch the egos and ditch the, I did this versus you did that, and just say, hey, look, you know what? We've all been a part of this amazing couple's lives in some way or capacity over the 5 decades that they've been doing this.
Yeah.
We all have a part to play, and if we all come together and play nice and, and share and celebrate each other's experiences and, praise them as they deserve to be praised, as the pioneers of the modern paranormal investigation craze. None of these conventions would exist if it weren't for them. None of the TV shows would have existed if it weren't for the Warrens. They brought the reality behind ghosts and haunting phenomena and demons and exorcism to public awareness. Could there have been somebody that came along if the Warrens never existed? Sure, but they're the ones that did it. And I'm blessed and proud to have been able to work with them. I wrote a newspaper column while I was a sophomore at Sacred Heart University called Hauntings, about my very first cases that they were sending me on, because it was a Catholic university and they wanted to know what was going on. So I preserved all that history, which is cool. Anyway, so I did this show this last weekend. Prior to that, I did Connecticut Horror Fest. I was with Rob and Christine at their first Connecticut Horror Fest too for the first several years, and lectured at one of them. And so I've gotten to see both the Warrens' Supernatural, Seekers of the Supernatural, and Connecticut Horror Fest begin, and I was part of those beginnings on the very first conventions years ago. And have continued with the Warrens every year. I did the first 3 or 4 Connecticut Horror Fests, and I missed one year that I couldn't get back in for some reason because they grandfathered the previous people. But I was like, I was there for the first 3 shows, bring me in, grandfather me in. So I got in again. So I did that one. So 2 consecutive huge shows. And then this coming weekend, I'm doing Monster Mania in Baltimore, which is another huge show that at least last year was one of my best shows. So the purpose is not to terrify people by any means, not to glorify darkness by any means, but it's to set up a vendor table that's really, really a dazzling display, and then make people aware of my most fascinating, mind-bending, terrifying case that I call Dark Siege, a Connecticut Family's Nightmare, that I wrote. Where is it? No, it's not here. Anyway, it's 467 pages. I wrote it, and because I wasn't there for the first half of the case, I arrived, after they were experiencing horrors as the investigator.
Right.
I said, I'm going to recreate this entire case in a cinematic true crime horror format, right? Horror style. So it's like a Stephen King book, right? And that's how it reads, not like a documentary, but like you're reading a true crime novel. And I have a very great ability to draw people in and to paint the scenes and especially the atmospheres and the emotions and so forth to draw you right in. And the books, the number one comments with over 440 reviews on Amazon and Goodreads and all these others is that I could not put it down, but I couldn't read it at night without every single light on in the house. And even Bishop James Long said the same thing. I fought goosebumps on my arm the entire time I read this book, remembering all the exorcisms that I've been a part of. And uh, even better than that, I included a 100-page chapter by chapter analysis at the end, explaining my history growing up, right? The whole synchronicity involved with meeting the Warrens, which was a mind blower. My first several cases working with the Warrens and for the Warrens, which were all amazing, one after the other. What the family in this case did right and wrong every step of the way, and how Ouija boards work and why they should be avoided. How to protect yourself, how to pray to Archangel Michael for the best protection that is instant, as long as you have the faith that it is so. Anything you ask for in faith, you shall receive. And to make people aware that this is how these forces weave their way into our lives, just like the Defeating the Demonic seminar. This is how they do it. This is their MO. Their MO is always to divide and conquer and kill, rob, and destroy, break families apart and break friendships apart, and seize control of the body of a human being because they can't hurt God. They want to make humans suffer, and that's how they feel good about themselves for some reason. But anyway, it's a fantastic book, and I sell them like hotcakes at all these conventions. There's a part 2. I'm sorry, let me go back. Can I talk about it a little bit?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it involved a 6-year-old girl and her mother driving by Union Cemetery in Easton, Connecticut, just before Halloween in '93, and it was a really stormy afternoon, leaves whipping all over the place, and thunder and lightning and torrential rain. And Kelly spots this shape walking through the gravestones, through the fence, right up to the curb as the car passes by. And she's only 6; she doesn't know what to make of it, right? Just scary man standing on the roadway, looking at her and disappearing and reappearing as the car travels away, and she's spinning around freaked out, and mom's trying to maintain control of the car in a torrential downpour and booming thunder and lightning. And he follows her home. Nobody believes her because she's 6 and her eyes are playing trick on her, or she's having an imaginary playmate. And then mom sees this shadowy form walking right through the washing machine as she's standing in front of it. And then the 16-year-old brother, Tyler, and his 2 friends see this shadow in the living room, among other things, without spoiling the story. And they decide that the best thing to do, now that they believe that Kelly's telling the truth, is to go purchase what? A Ouija board, right? Because that's how you're going to contact the guy and find out why in the world this spirit or this shadowy form is in the house after the 6-year-old sister. I mean, any big brother would be very concerned and want answers, but being teenagers, they issued all the wrong challenges. They swore and cursed and challenged them and commanded them and opened the floodgates, right? Invocation, evocation. Why are you after my sister, you big expletive? Come mess with me. Who else is around here? You think you're such, and they opened the floodgates. Yeah. And that was the most rapid escalation from demonic infestation at that point, meaning they came right in that evening, announcing their arrival, right, in a very particular way. The evidence of their presence was overwhelming. They didn't know what to make of it, but that was the evidence that they were present in the house. It was the most rapid escalation from demonic infestation to oppression, meaning they went right after the family, and to possession, requiring exorcism we've ever experienced. And after that was all said and done, they came right back after the family, which we called the most devastating case of diabolical retribution we've ever seen, where they went after everybody for payback for expelling them the first time. And it was absolutely horrific. And I had to make that a second volume because it included incubus and succubus attacks at that stage, which were sexual. And my goal was to reach the preteens and the teens and everybody with volume 1 that you see the graphic there on my screen. I had to make the second volume in 18 and up because of the nature of those attacks. And I sent that whole manuscript to Bishop Long. And I said, you know how I write and how you feel like you're right there among everybody experiencing everything. Who wants to experience that? And he said, you have to release it. And again, he read it from cover to cover. He could not wait to get back from walking the dog. He had to get right back to it, or whatever he was doing. And he said, you have to release it as is, because people need to know that this is rare, but very, very, very serious, deadly serious. And they need to seek help from clergy immediately. And this type of attack is increasing exponentially as well, because people are seeking it, right? It's unbelievable. And unless you experience these types of things, you really, you could say, is this exaggerated or embellished? It's not. Everything. I self-published my books because I started seeing. I was there in the classroom when Lorraine was boasting about Warner Brothers wanting to go buy all their case material, right? And how excited they were that they were finally going to get international recognition to have and get their information out there. It was never about the money for them, right? It was all about bringing awareness to this, and like Bill Bean says, knowledge is power, and power perceived is power achieved. He's so awesome. And I love that guy. And he's an amazing man to be around, and you can be around him if you come to the Defeating Demonic event. The guy he's great on his podcast because he never slips up, right? And he just flows right perfectly. Never even does an or an ah, right? He's just on point. And to be in this man's presence, you'll be blown away, among everybody else. But I've worked with him on a case, which was really great. Anyway, love you, Bill. And the purpose is to warn people, don't open doorways. And just at the show at the WarrensCon, I had a young lady and her mom, come up, and, she said that they just bought a Ouija board at one of the other vendors. And I said, return it. Don't use it. No Ouija boards. And she's like, it's their toy. They want to go play with the toy. And I says, trust me, read this book, and you'll never touch that thing. You're putting yourself in danger, and they just don't get it, and that's the thing is you listen to people that know what they're talking about. And it's not, I'm not helping you because it's helping me. I'm telling you that so you'll spare yourself.
Right.
And then the people like Bill Bean and Archbishop Ben Wright and Archbishop Cloud and Bishop James Long and Bishop Sparks, and Dan Todd, who are the speakers this year, and yourself, don't have to come to your aid and help you out of the freaking quagmire that you're creating for yourself by thinking this is just a toy and it's a game. It's not. I'm telling you, it's not. And Ed called it the most dangerous piece of negative occult paraphernalia in existence, responsible for 95% of all the cases of demonic infestation, oppression, and possession that he has personally investigated. Thousands and thousands of cases since 1955 until 2006, when he passed out of this earth.
Wow.
And I can tell you, we were there, right, in the trenches. And the people that worked with the Warrens in the 80s and 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right? Yeah. Early 2000s, 50 years that we were, other people were helping them that were psychic photographers and mediums and priests and police officers and investigators. People who were very serious in unlocking the secrets of the universe, but primarily to help other people and help rescue them. So that we could provide evidence to the church for exorcisms and things like that, and just help them. There were no cell phones. There was no selfie mania going on. There was no intention to get on a TV show, right? Or to write books and all that stuff at that time. The Warrens were just starting to write books about their 50 years of experience. So you don't write a book unless you have experience to talk about. And, they were right there. I mean, they didn't have T-shirts and baseball caps and wear sunglasses and stuff. Somebody mentioned that on stage, saying, make some T-shirts and stuff. I was like, Ed wore a flannel shirt, and Lorraine was always regal, with her Burberry and things like that. They didn't have T-shirts. Could you imagine if Ed Warren walked around with a T-shirt that said Ed Warren Team Leader, Nesper on it, and how silly that would be? I mean, we didn't do that. I mean, again, I started in 1990, so I guess I'm an old timer. They call us an OG, right? Whatever. I don't know. Old greats or something like that, but there's nothing great about it. But I mean, it's history, it's experience, it's wisdom.
Right. And I think it's amazing that you had that opportunity. I mean, what a blessing that is. Jason, we've had a couple of people that have come on And I just want to say
Well,
hi
that's
to
good.
everybody. Yeah, I can see them. Yeah, I can see them on the chat here. And thank you. It looks like Richard Johnson. Hi, Richard. Yeah, I knew he was going to be watching today. And I can't see who this is. Can you see who that is, Jason?
Desiree and
Oh,
Richard.
is that Desiree? Okay,
Hey,
hi.
Desiree.
It's like this big. So
Oh,
I'm
is
not
it?
sure if someday I'm actually going to get like
Oh,
modern.
must
And
buy a bigger screen.
I know. I don't. I'm just like, I'm
No offense
so.
to my Asian friends.
One of these days I'm gonna get uptown. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. And so Jason, so we're talking a little bit about Bishop Joshua and Archbishop Cloud, and the other ones that are you've got some new people, including myself. I'm just a little part of it, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really thankful to be part of it, and thank you for letting me put the documentary, a piece of the documentary I'm doing, which features Bill Bean and
Yeah,
Archbishop Ronald. And it features a lot of these people because they helped me.
right.
So, but we've got a few. You've got new faces there for this year. Could you tell a little bit about what you think is going to happen with the new boys on the team here?
The new kids on the block.
The
They're
new
not
kids on
kids
the
by any means.
block. Yeah.
So last year it was 5 hours, and I cannot believe how fast time went by. Right, we didn't even have time we had time for a little bit of a Q&A, and that was it. There was so much information to cover, and I said this year I'm going to do it at a beautiful theater. So I booked the Bijou Theater in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's actually the oldest live entertainment venue in the country, completely redone and remodeled and recreated.
So excited to see it.
Yeah, it's really cool. And the owner, Lewis, is really great. Dustin is this guy that does all the website graphics and all this stuff. And I've been a total pain in the arse because I've changed things so many times, and they're like, oh my God, I have to go in there and change all these things. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to make this the best epic event that it could be. So I just said, I kept looking and rehashing the schedule, saying I would try to condense it like an accordion, right? I'm like, I have to make this as epic as possible. And I need the time to do it. So I decided because Bishop Long and Archbishop Cloud have other commitments and they can't come in person, I'm going to play their video clips because I had it professionally recorded last year and live streamed. And I'm going to replay their clips on the screen. But those are pretty small compared to the segments that are going to take place where the people are actually there. So it's going to start off with Archbishop Ronald File Enright in a segment called Divine Resonance. He's going to talk about the ringing of bells and how that frequency and vibration repels negative energies, specifically demonic, right, reptilian based type of stuff. That's real, right?
Yeah.
Or the reptilians, that's when they were described all over the earth.
Exactly.
All over the world, right? Reptilian appearing beings, the reptilian appearance, and it's all part of this frequency and vibration. I'm going to get into my work with Ed and Lorraine Warren, but first I'm going to start with human spirit cohabitation, which is, if you want to understand demonic possession, you first should understand that discarnate human spirits can actually cohabitate the bodies of the living very easily. She discovered this by accident.
Could you tell that story about the book? I love this story that you read about.
Yeah. All right. So Dr. Edith Fiore was a colleague of Dr. Raymond Moody's, and he wrote the book Life After Life. And he was a hypnotherapist, and he did past life regression therapy. He's also a psychologist, I believe. I'm not quite positive. But Fiore is a psychologist, hypnotherapist, and she discovered quite by accident that this young man who had a complete change in personality, 21-year-old turned into literally an 80-year-old overnight and was completely changed. When she put him under hypnosis, she discovered that she actually also hypnotized the spirit of the elderly man that he picked up in the bar that convinced him to order the drink that he wanted, right? And moved into his body because he broke his auric field down, right? Alcohol, drugs. So Bishop Sparks is going to talk about the spirit of alcohol and pharmakia, which is sorcery, right? And they're real, right? That's why people do things they normally don't do, because they're under the influence of spirits, right? It's all real, you just have to put it all together. So anyway, she discovered through 30,000 subjects in her career that psychoses, phobias that don't make any sense, gender issues, right? Um, Personality conflicts, multiple personality disorders, split personalities, schizophrenia, hallucinations are all related, absent any true, real mental psychosis, are related to other consciousness, fields of consciousness that have worked their way into the body of the living. And they cannot differentiate their thoughts from the thoughts of the old man, right? Or the man can't differentiate the thoughts from the woman that moved into his body, and all of a sudden feels alive again when he's up on stage doing drag, right? There's no way to understand or explain that other than the fact that this woman is convincing him to do that so she can feel like a woman again. It's and she relieves this stuff after often a single hypnotic session where she has a compassionate dialogue with the possessing spirit, right? Who often don't realize they've died, because nobody dies. Their body perishes, but their consciousness moves out and then finds its way. If it doesn't cross over and remains as an earthbound human spirit, which is my mentor Lorraine Warren called them, they're attracted to the persons, places, situations, and circumstances of their former lifetime. They don't cross over or leave this dimension. They stay earthbound. They move into the bodies of somebody else and they confuse them, right?
Right.
Confusion, and take over their thoughts.
Right.
There could be up to 50 different beings inside the body vying for control, right? And that's why somebody can't quit smoking or drinking or gambling or any other obsession, because that consciousness does not want to quit. The devil and the angel on the shoulder. You don't need to do this. Oh, I want this. You're not going to quit. I want that smoke. And then they smoke, and then they've gotten their fix, so they retreat or fade out. And then in comes another personality, comes forward. I want that gambling fix. Let's go to the casino, or I want to do this or do that. And the things that this person believes are their own thoughts,
Right.
but are nothing of the sort. And all of a sudden, when somebody is liberated through a compassionate dialogue, so look in the mirror, right? Does that look like you? Or somebody, or the person that you're inhabiting? Well,
Right.
no, that's not me. I'm such and such. Or think about the time when you found yourself outside of your body and you saw your own body that you left. Think about it. Was it mangled in a car wreck? Was it on an operating table? Was it in an old folks' home? Was it in a war or battle? Did you get blown to bits and things like that? Think about the time when you first left your body and think about what you did. And then they think about it, right? And they're mortified that they're actually interfering with the life experience of the person that they're inhabiting, and they agree to go willingly. There are others, though, most of that are like that, and they go after a single session, then the person is relieved. But then there's other personalities in there potentially. So it could take several sessions that way to get rid of the whole group of them, right? But all of a sudden, that person is relieved from the smoker, the chain smoker personality. I don't have any desire for cigarettes. Boop, I can quit like that. Yeah, because the spirit that was convincing you to smoke, because that's what it needed, which is why it didn't cross over in the first place. I can't get cigarettes if I go to heaven, or I don't want to go burn in hell. All the things that they create for themselves. It's fascinating. So if you want to understand demonic possession and how easy that is, think about how easy it is for a human spirit. And this can take place from a single administration of anesthesia in the hospital. So you can have a little 5-year-old going in to get their tonsils out, his tonsils out, right? And all of a sudden, the spirit of an old woman who died in that hospital from natural causes or a horrendous disease is slipping through the floors and walking through walls and stumbles into the nursery. Oh, look at the cute little baby. It goes in, or the 5-year-old, all of a sudden they're around that child. They hook in and somehow they get in and they cohabitate this body in the electromagnetic field that surrounds it. But the administration of the anesthesia, drugs or alcohol, right? Pharmakia, alcohol, sorcery, can knock your auric defenses down, right? The shields come down on the Starship Enterprise and the alien moves into the ship, right? And all of a sudden they're in. and they can go through an entire lifetime never knowing that they are affected by somebody else who's interfered with the life that they and their higher self and God planned for them to have. Um, why is it allowed to happen? Could be a question, right? How can God allow an imposter to come in and interfere with a lifetime that somebody had planned for themselves? Unless it was contracted for on the other side, which is another big thing, right? That we apparently do. I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know that it works. I mean, I do that it happens and that people can be relieved of it. And I remember I asked a drag queen in a club in Austin, and I asked, would you be willing to go under hypnosis to find out if you might be influenced by the spirit of a woman? And he said, I would be really interested to find that out because I don't know where this came from. All I know is I feel alive when I'm on stage portraying a woman, you know, and never had that opportunity, but it's easy to do. We just get a test group of 12 people um, who are experiencing these things, do it and see how many of them are actually cohabitated and how many of them are instantly relieved. You'll have the memory, right? The cell memory and things like that. And you'll have the memory of doing those things, but how many of them are relieved of this imposter spirit? And most importantly, helping this imposter spirit who's been neglecting their own spiritual evolution by sticking with somebody else when they need to go off and go through everything that they experienced in their lifetime and how they learned and grew and evolved to continue on their own path instead of sharing a body that's not theirs.
The fact is, it's illegal. I mean, this is our bodies,
Yeah.
and these spirits they're trespassing basically. So I would right now, if anybody's listening to this conversation and you hear this, if you have your child going in to get dental work, which I worked at a dentist and I know this, you do this anesthesia, but you have the right to go in there and do a prayer of protection for your child before you go into Walmart, before you go anywhere. You put that protection shield up. You put that so you don't have these hijackers coming in on you like we're talking about before it gets too late. And that's exactly why I think when you get to go to the Defeating the Demonic, you're going to hear stories like Jason's talking about. You're going to hear from Bill Bean. You're going to hear from Bishop Joshua. You're going to hear from Archbishop Ronald Felt Enright and all the others. And they're going to tell you these things and don't just right now. You don't have to wait for that. You don't have to wait for this event if you're going and if you're going to get tickets, but you can look them up now. You can look up Jason. You can watch videos that they're in, and you can check out the Unseen Realm podcast every Saturday. We have Dr. Finkelstein and Adrian Finkelstein that what you're saying right now, Dr. Finkelstein always is talking about these cases, Jason, where he has hypnotized, or I think specifically one, where it was over 10. Desiree, if she's still on here, she probably would know. But, it took him like 3 years. But finally, all but one spirit left. But he would go in and do the hypnosis with them and try to talk to each one. And finally, at the very end, one left willingly, the last one. But so, I mean, it's like what you're saying and what that book said. I mean, it's real. It's real.
That's what started me to get in. I read Life After. I was always studying spirits and ghosts and mythology because I knew that this was coming from somewhere. People just didn't make it up out of thin air, and that's what got me. I read Dr. Raymond Moody's book. Then I read The Unquiet Dead. Then I read The Demonologist. So what's funny is, or interesting is, that every one of the speakers on stage at the Warrens Seekers of the Supernatural Paracon under the segment Life with the Warrens, meaning we all in some way interacted with them, everybody had read that book. And that was the catalyst that got them concerned enough to want to get involved and help people, right?
I have that book.
Yeah. So that's where that began. But if you want to understand human spirit phenomena and hauntings, read about near-death experiences and how people vacate their bodies. They're able to perceive colors that they could never describe when they come back into their bodies because there's no frame of reference, because we can see 1% visible light. Right. When they're out of their bodies, they're able to perceive every bit of what's around them.
Right.
In a 360-degree arc like you have eyeballs at the back of your head, right? And knowing things and reading people's minds and interacting with shapes and geometric patterns and hearing this ambient music all around and seeing and interacting with beings that will boggle our minds. We're sitting inside these insulated spacesuits with blinders on, right?
Most people
Is
are.
really the way it is. Cats and dogs can see more than we can. They can see, you know, everything, much more than we can. That's why if they're hissing or barking in the corner, like there's something in the room, you better pay attention because they're the ones that are picking that up, and they're there to try to let you know, the dumb human or the guy in the human meat suit that's oblivious to it, that they're actually detecting things. And it's hilarious when you think about it. The thing that gets me is, and I say this too because you need to take this seriously, is understand is that if we can see 1%, how the hell are we ghost hunting when the ghost or the discarnate spirit can perceive 100%? And it's like they're like, look at this guy walking around with his flashlight and his little meter going, I sense a spirit. Did you see that? It's like they look at us like we're a bunch of morons. It has to be,
Yeah.
and then the demonic after that. I mean, these are beings that walk through centuries and they've existed beyond space and time for millennia. And they're looking at us like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
It's hilarious. We're not hunting anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's such a joke. We don't hunt humans, so why are we saying we're ghost hunting? How about
Yeah.
ghost helping?
Right.
And still, I think
It's
it's just
right.
it's a hilarious thing.
It can be hilarious, but truly, when the first time Bill Bean helped us, it was right before Bill Bean helped us, and I had the Tucson paranormal group, Tucson Ghost Society out, and they came out here and they set up just like a huge paranormal thing, and
Yeah.
what I heard in this cabin that I'm in right now was the most frightening thing I would have never imagined hearing. It was like interdimensional voices, one of them, and then one of them was a child voice. One of them was like it sounded like something from uh, some horrible, and they're all talking together
Mm-hmm.
here, right here where I'm at. And so when I heard that, I never wanted to come back in this cabin again. So the fact that I'm in this cabin and all the stuff that's happened in this cabin, I still won't sleep in this cabin. I would never
Mm-hmm.
sleep in here again. But from what was in here, and I will tell you that after the very first time that Bill worked in this cabin and they came here, and then the next time they came here, all that was completely, we never had any more voices like that again. And so I really cannot stress enough the fact that what you started with the show saying with the Ouija boards, although we have never used a Ouija board out here, we got here and it was already here. It was here. And so think about how many people move into a new house, move into any house at all, like you're saying, can have a spirit, an unwanted spirit, a spirit that just is like a clingy spirit that needs like an emotional, and they just wrap over you and steal your energy. So, whatever the case is, everyone needs to be prepared. Can you give people something that they could do, Jason, that could quickly, maybe possibly, I know I could say it, but I'm sure you have some amazing things I know. What can help clear some energy right away?
So, aside from having my psychic friends that can come in and just clear it out the way they
Right.
clear it out, which is the easiest way to do it, it's everything is frequency and vibration. So, yeah, think about the fact that I've never used a Ouija board, and a family can claim they've never used a Ouija board or participated in any kind of occult practices. How can these spirits have gained entry into our house? Well, what about the previous owners?
Right.
Or what about the generations that have lived before, like the Indian spirits, like on your property and things? They, we're not talking about just the current occupants here. So, or even if you built a brand new house, the land has a history, and there's interdimensional stuff going on too. But this isn't the only dimension. This isn't the only plane. But the first most important thing to know before anybody gets involved into paranormal investigation is if you're an atheist, you have zero spiritual auric defense. And that's the most important, right? You have your mental body, your spiritual body, your emotional body, your etheric body, your spiritual body. And if you don't have that, I remember Lorraine asked me, well, how strong is your faith, honey? Because if one person is lacking or is in any way defenseless, it threatens the entire group, right? Because they're the ones that are going to get zeroed in on and attacked and bullied. And so the most important thing is to know that you're always connected to the creator of all that is, who created the soul, right? Your field of consciousness. There's the whole history of the earth where ancient times where DNA was manipulated and whether they're ETs or beings that came from the center of the planet or from other dimensions, they manipulated DNA and created earthly vessels for consciousness to go and inhabit, right? And that's where the Nephilim come from. And Bill Bean will talk about that. And the Sasquatch are interdimensional and things like that because they're never found, they're never seen, but the people see. Their bodies are never discovered, but they're seen and they're perceived through the third eye. So that's the answer there but anyway. But know and believe that you are protected, that you are permanently connected to the creator of all that is. So as an analogy, the creator of all that is, which is not any named deity that anybody prays to, by the way, right? It's the nameless, formless creator of all that is. It's the creation itself. It's the infinite or the absolute, right? So think of it as the ocean, right? And we are the fish swimming in the ocean, right? We're all part of the same ocean. We're all connected to that creative force. You're never separate from it. And if you understand that you're connected to it and you can visualize a brilliant golden ball of light in your heart. I have this in my book.
Let's
In the
do
analysis
it,
section.
everybody. Let's all do this. Okay,
all right, let's do it.
Ocean,
so close your eyes.
In the ocean, close our eyes.
Close your eyes and visualize in your heart a golf ball that is blindingly bright golden light. And it's shimmering and it is shooting out rays of light that's infinite energy from the creator of all that is. It is your God spark, right? It's your soul. It is God within. It's the kingdom of heaven is within. And it is love. It is light. It is power. It is wisdom. It is joy. It's abundance. It's radiant good health, right? It's connectivity, right? It is the seed, the God spark, the God seed within you. And then it's expanding into the size of a baseball, front and back, left and right, all directions. So it's in your core.
I can feel that.
Yeah. So it's expanding into the size of a baseball now. Now it's expanded into the size of a softball. And feel it growing from your core outward into the size of a basketball, growing outward into the size of a medicine ball or gigantic beach ball. It's now moving past your shoulders and behind you and above you and below your feet, right? So you're now becoming completely encapsulated in a brilliant golden light. It's a very high frequency light. And it's your God light. It's your protection. It's creator protecting you from anything that could do you harm. And visualize this light expanding now 20 feet in diameter, front and back, up and down, below and above, all encompassing you. You can stretch your arms out as far as you can to your sides, and you're well within that radius of light. It's completely surrounding you. It's filling your room, right? That's how big it is. It's 20 feet in diameter. Visualize a violet, scintillating, bright purple violet light, right? Surrounding your core, right? And shooting up 20 feet high and 20 feet beneath your feet to your left and right. It's brilliant violet light. And violet light is a very, very high frequency band, right? Everything's frequency and vibration. So light is frequency. So no, I am the light and the love of the one creator manifested here now on this earth. I am fully protected and fully empowered. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for being here now, for drawing your sword and your shield, for severing any connections I've made with any beings or any spirits throughout at any point in my life, for severing those connections if they are not here for my highest good, for taking them wherever it is they need to go away from me, for keeping me safe in all ways, always. in Jesus' name, and so it is. Amen. Right?
So it is.
That type of stuff. And
I feel
that's,
good. I feel
yeah.
great.
Take a salt bath, take a sea salt bath, with a cup of sea salt, and put some essential lavender oil in there, or hyssop, right? Which is very, very powerful. It's from biblical, right? Frankincense oil, myrrh, all those things are all high frequency. So the reasons why Catholic priests wear purple stoles for exorcism and for confession is because it's that high frequency color, right? And just by dripping it around the neck, you're wearing it as a mantle, right? It's all true. And it's important to just know that you're connected, you're never separate. No matter what you've done in your life, no matter through any mistake you've made, doesn't matter. You're always connected. You can always pray for help, but you have to just mean it and believe it, right? Anything you ask for in faith, you shall receive. So I didn't say, Archangel Michael, would you please come help me through this? I'm not doing too well. It's very weak. It's saying, I don't know if you're hearing me. I don't know if I'm worthy of being heard. I don't know if you're going to come as requested, or when you're going to come, and in what capacity, meaning how much you're really going to help me, because I don't believe in this, whatever, whatsoever, or I'm completely atheist. It's not going to work. Thank you for being here now. So when I pass the cemetery and I get the impulse to say, thank you, Archangel Gabriel, for being here now, right? For taking any spirits in this cemetery home to God, right? For removing any negative energies from this place, so that those that are interred there, can remain at peace, and that type of stuff. They need your permission to enter your life, is just like the demonic needs permission to enter your life. You have to call them in, just like your guides need permission to come in and help you, but you have to believe it. If you don't believe it, it's not going to work. So, people can play with Ouija boards and they don't really believe it, and their connection will be less intense if there's no emotion in it, right? Versus somebody who's full of emotion, say, "Why are you after my little sister? You big X, come after me," and they're charging that connection, right? Everything is frequency and vibration. Then you get the very serious satanic acolyte or master who's using these with sigils and all the negative paraphernalia and runes and the lesser keys of Solomon, and their chants and incantations. And they're very, very serious, and they're filling it with the emotion to draw this stuff in. They're going to draw it in. Everything you believe to be true that is charged with the energy that you're putting into it affects the result. So, I always say, watch your thoughts and watch, be at peace, right? Don't watch things that are going to upset you, which is, I never watch the news, all this catastrophic flooding that's taking place, all that stuff. And it's horrible for people to have to go through it. But what are you doing to yourself aside from making yourself feel overwhelmed and bombarded with negative energy because you see suffering and destruction and all that stuff? It's better to tune it out. If it's not affecting you, count your blessings, hope and pray for those that are being affected, but it's not about you. It's not your life, right? Tune it out. Go walk in the grass and touch a tree and touch a flower, but just, pet your dog or pet your cat, or, do something that's good, that makes you feel good. Eat some wholesome food, anything you think affects you. So if you go to a junk food restaurant, it's crap food, it's garbage, it's loaded with sugars, and it's loaded with chemicals that make you addicted to it, to make you want some more. And yet you're going to go there and stick it in your mouth, which is your temple, right? Like Bishop Long said, you are the living temple of the Holy Spirit. Are you going to pollute your temple with garbage, intentionally? And it's bad for you. And with every sip you take, you're saying this is poison. So what are you knowing you're doing? You're poisoning your body, because yes, you're aware of it. Knowledge is power. You're poisoning yourself, versus going without, eating less and eating something that's nutrient dense and it's going to benefit your body. It's not going to cause disease down the line. These are just things that people need to think about. And look at the ingredients labels on your freaking food. Go compare a bottle of organic ketchup with 5-6 ingredients to the 20 ingredients in a bottle of Heinz or whatever. There's a lot of companies that are trying to go organic, but high
so many
fructose corn
sugars.
syrups and all these sugars, and the high fructose corn syrups was making everybody inflamed and fat and obese and disease ridden. Everything you put in your body, everything, it's true. you know
And
this is the
bless.
living temple of the Holy Spirit. Treat it as such and purify it. Take a sea salt bath, man. You're going to feel so good
Yeah.
taking a hot bath with a cup of sea salt and some lavender oil, and dunk your head in, and you're going to feel like you're going through the car wash, like your energy, all the gunk that you've accumulated on that bubble of energy that's surrounding you, by the way,
Yes.
that accumulates on it. When you take your car that has got a filthy windshield and it's filthy on the outside and it needs to be vacuumed out on the inside, and you take it through the car wash and you're like, and then you vacuum it out. I
Yeah.
feel good, right? It affects
Yeah.
me because that's part of my being. I'm in that car. Think about your auric field and do.
Yeah.
When's the last time you took a squeegee and wiped all that gunk off your fields? Pranic healing is amazing. I've done that many times. I feel completely like I've gone through the car wash because we get corded. Being on stage, talking to people, being on stage, singing before people with my band and so forth, doing podcasts, right? But live, especially, you're getting connected with people because their focus of awareness is on you. And then you can feel wiped out the next day because all these people are latched onto you like they have a tether, right? And you have to, with love, say, I release you and I send you on with light and love. Thank you for paying attention to me, and I hope you benefited in some way,
Right.
whether it's entertainment or information. But it's real, man. It's so real, and people say, well, demons don't exist. Like Bishop James Long says, he says, in order to make peace with himself in his ministry, he had to just tell people, look, Bishop Long, prove to me that demons exist, right? It's like, I don't have to prove to you to exist because I help the families that know that they do, right? And I focus on them and count your lucky stars that you've never had a negative experience in that way that you're aware of. I mean, a severe demonic attack you could be well aware of, but an instant way to tell that you're under some kind of oppression is when you're overcome by a seething anger that you just can't explain.
Right.
You're just angry and like something comes over you and you are just ready to lose it, right? You pray, thank you, Archangel Michael, for removing this force that is causing me to feel anger, right? And for protecting me in all ways, always. How easy is that to say?
Yeah.
In every way possible, always. That's a pretty good blanket statement as far as I'm concerned. And I'm telling you, it works. But tune out all the negative stuff and don't watch things that are going to cause you to feel stressed out and lower your vibration, because then that's how these things connect. And they're waiting in the wings. So you go to a haunted terror house. We all did it as kids. I did it too. You go to a XYZ, terror haunted house because it's thrilling and Halloween, or you get the spooks and the scares and people jump out at you and all that stuff. But you're shedding all this negative fear energy that these dark forces, these archonic dark demonic forces that are lurking everywhere, right, are gobbling up like the fear buffet, I call it, right? They're taking your vital life force energy that you're emitting from your living temple of the Holy Spirit, and they're gobbling that fear up because that's the low frequency energy that they need. It weakens you in the process. Right. So doing that field of light will push these things away. They'll repel them. Right.
Yeah.
Versus attracting and feeding them.
So I think everything you said is amazing. And I think doing that, that light field of light was incredible for people to be able to just understand that that's how I do it. Like I just, everywhere I go, I put my light shield on, I get it raised.
Yeah.
And so that's what you did was perfect. I love that. And we've come to the end of the show.
Oh, okay.
But I would love to tell everyone that we're all going to be, or not all of us, but we will be on Dead Air Full Spectrum. That'll be next Sunday. We're going to be on with Ken DaCosta and George R. Lopez on their show. And so I'll be sending out links, and a lot of us from the Unseen Realm and from the Defeating the Demonic will be on. I'm not quite sure how many of us but we'll be able to get to talk. And then I've got another couple of shows that I'm trying to set up so we can do some more promoting. So I'm letting everyone know that I'll be sending out some press on that or some social media posts on that. And again, we're gonna go ahead and take it. Lead us out with how they can see and find to get tickets for Defeating the Demonic.
So it's run through the Bijou Theater in Bridgeport, Connecticut, which is 275 Fairfield Avenue, Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's accessible. Their ticketing is through Eventbrite. So you would just hit eventbrite.com and type in Defeating the Demonic. It'd be this year's event, not last year's. This would be in Bridgeport, Connecticut, not Southbury, Connecticut. You can also find it easily on my website, which is www.darksiege.com, DARKSIEGE. And just scroll down a bit. You'll see the promo video, which begins with Bishop Lung. Just turn on the sound, and you'll see the poster with all of us on it. And you just tap on that or left click, and it'll go right to the Eventbrite page, and you can buy your seats. So the easiest way to do it is on the right lower hand corner, there'll be a red box called Get Tickets. When you click that, there'll be another box, but it'll be white, and it'll say Buy on Map. And then you can see the general seating, which is the first rectangle, the rectangle in the center, which is the theater seats. Or you can tap or left click on actual table seats, and the ones that are available you can click that, and it'll send that into the cart, for instance. And that is the easiest way to get seats. The theater will be open all day long, so people can walk up and walk in, buy tickets at the theater window, and join in at any time. It starts at 9:30 in the morning. I know it's a super long day, but the content is incredible. But you can come in second session, third session. You can come in and out because you'll have wristbands. There's concessions all day long, pizzas and popcorn and drinks. There's a full bar, though I don't suggest people drink alcohol. Free Sunday street parking garage across the street. We have a VIP dinner, which is an exclusive 2 hours with the speakers. If you want to go for that, I've reduced the rate to $99 for 2 hours. It's a full 5-course authentic Italian meal with all the speakers and so forth at a very nice restaurant right across the street. So if it rains, you just go right across the street. There's productions during the dinner time. I have 3 different videos, including your promo video, for people who want to stay in the theater and not go anywhere. Or you can just go out to your restaurant of your choice and so forth. But darksiege.com or eventbrite.com. And if you're considering grabbing tickets, please grab them now rather than waiting. We're 19 days away, and I really want to see this thing fill up quick. And if it does fill up quick, Bill Bean and I want to do some other things, maybe on the Saturday night before, or that's probably the only option right there, or the matinee on Saturday. But unless this thing sells out quick, I can't see booking another event. But he and I want to go on the road and do some things together, mind-blowing stuff. But I really encourage you all to come. It's worth the road trip. The leaves are gorgeous at this time of year in Connecticut. Take a road trip, share the drive, and it's just right before Halloween. So it's the most unique experience you can have. It's empowering. It's frightening, but it's empowering. Thank you.
I will say one thing. I know a lot of people now in the paranormal media, and they are looking at what you have created, and they are saying that it is something that they have never seen before. This is one of the people that said that was our mutual friend, Dr. Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
Dr. Kelly Schutz, and she goes all over the place. And she said that there's something very unique about what you have created in this event that's like no other.
Yeah, thank you.
She would be there but she's already booked for something else. But she said she was wanting to go there. I know several people that are saying they're going to go.
Good.
So other than
I suggest everybody cancel their plans and come, because it's going to be a mind bender. There's nothing like it anywhere, like you said, but we hope to take it on the road.
That'd be great.
That would be so cool to just take it everywhere. But anyway, thank you for having me on your show. And you look wonderful, and look forward to seeing you in person for the first time, October 20th.
I know, to give you a big hug.
Yeah. I'm a giant, so I give good hugs. But thanks for everybody that listens in, and Desiree and Richard, and those are the ones I really see in the chats. But
whoever's in the chat or will be in the chat in the future or any moment from now, we thank you, and God bless you all. And please listen and watch that that part where he shows you how to light your light ball up inside of you. Watch that, share that. It's really important.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. God bless everyone. And I will see you next week.